Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Bayloric Worldwide Television. I have with me a special guest by the name of Jones, Carson Jones. Carson, how you doing, champ?
I'm good, man. Been a long time since we talked last. How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a long time. Technical challenges, the new year, but we're up and running and we're all good. So I think I'm going to start with this. I think somehow, some way, reading over your Facebook messages, and there's some hilarious ones you do put up, I'm going to have to call you Carson Golovkin, because it seems every time you're in Big Bear, people are asking for autographs for Golovkin. How frustrating is that for you?
Actually, it's pretty frustrating. You probably saw that I posted on Facebook, stop asking me for this man's autograph. I mean, it's cool. It's cool and everything if I know you, but I mean, it's been several people that I don't even know from like Scotland and Australia asking me to send them autographs. Not only for me to send it, but for me to pay for the FedEx or whatever to get it to them. And I'm like, come on, bro. Like, seriously?
Right.
But actually, this morning, it's crazy you bring that up, because this morning, after we do this interview, I'm going to go. I got about 12 autographs for friends of mine that I'm going to go send off back to Oklahoma. So hopefully I can make somebody's day later on.
So what about autograph from yourself?
Nobody likes Carson outside.
You should start a show. Nobody likes Carson.
Nobody likes Carson. Outside of the UK, nobody likes Carson. We'll put it like that. I get a few people from the UK and from all over in other countries asking for different stuff, autographs, signed mouthpieces, weird stuff. But nobody wants anything here in the States, which is all good.
So how have you been anyway, outside of the Golovkin autograph signing stuff? How have you been otherwise in terms of spirits?
Good. I'm great. I'm actually here in Big Bear training. I got a fight coming up. I've been here going on 6 weeks. Before I came here, I was actually in Canada, in Montreal, sparring with David Lemieux, getting him ready for helping him get ready for Curtis Stevens. And as you see, he did the business in 3 or 4 rounds. So
I did live commentary on that, and I thought we'd lost Curtis Stevenson because he got hit so hard, and he got the way he went over. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I thought he. I mean, he looked dead for a second.
Yeah. So
it's always good to see he's not hurt and he doesn't have any noticeable damage.
Of course. So that's good to hear. That he's all well and good. There was some needle between those two. What was all that about?
You know what? Curtis Stevens has a mouth on him. He has a serious mouth in it. Honestly, I wasn't even in the ring with him or up against him that night. But he gets on my nerves as well. So I could just imagine.
Carson Jones, Curtis Stevens. Is that fight going to happen now?
Nah. Verbally, maybe. But it'll never happen. I don't fight at 160. I'm actually fighting 147 again.
Yeah.
So.
Not going to happen.
No.
Catch weight.
If there's some money there, I'll take it.
Of course, it is about the money. People say, "Oh, he's fighting for the money." Well, of course, you're a prize fighter. You're meant to fight for the money.
Exactly. I'm pretty open and honest about everything in boxing, and it's always about the money. I mean, when you're an amateur, you fight for free for so many years. I mean, just because you're getting paid doesn't mean you can't be passionate about something. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're coming off that good win you had in the UK. Did you fight since then?
I haven't fought since then, no.
And why did I think you fought since then? I was under the impression that you... I know what happened. This is where it leads me to the next question. I thought you were going to fight Sam Eggington. That's what I thought. Too. And that was what I was alluding to. You were meant to fight... I thought you were going to fight Sam Eggington. Can you work this one out? Paulie Malignaggi, he's a pretty astute guy. He's an analyst. I could have seen the Eggington fight was all wrong for him. How could he not have possibly seen that himself?
Actually, I'm not going to say I saw it either. Sam didn't necessarily show anything to make me believe that he was going to beat Paulie. Paulie was let's be real, Paulie was his best days are way behind him.
Of course.
But I thought he still had a little bit left in the tank to pull out the victory against Eggington. So I love Paulie. He's a great commentator, and he was one of the best in our era to do it.
Yep.
Obviously that wasn't his night, and he was past his prime. So.
Yeah, but still, even if you pass your prime, you're still trying to make a bit of money for yourself for the old retirement and stuff. Eggington, for me, seemed the wrong fight for him. Why would he take the fight? No disrespect, but a better fight would have been you versus Malignaggi. That would have been a better fight. Logically, 2 Americans.
Yeah. But see, Paulie is his name. He has a bigger name in England. Now he's, I guess the fans, the UK has great sports fans in general, but boxing fans are just crazy, and they really back fighters. It doesn't matter if you're from now. They can be a little vicious sometimes, but usually it doesn't matter if you're from England or from abroad. But they back fighters in just period. And I think that's what they did with Paulie, and he came over there, and everybody was very respectful of him. And I think Paulie made a decent paycheck.
He would have got paid well. I couldn't imagine Paulie going there for peanuts, for sure. He would have got paid well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and whether it being his last fight, Paulie's smart. He's not – he seems like he has a good head on his shoulders, and he's smart. So, I'm sure he's been smart with a lot of his money that he's made over his career, and that was just a little, cherry on top to go out with a bang, so to speak.
Absolutely. So why didn't the Eggington fight happen with you?
I honestly can't answer that. I thought that it was going to be me fighting Eggington on the day that he fought Paulie, but it just didn't pan out. It's probably a smart decision business-wise because Paulie was an easier opponent and probably
Let's keep it real. A lighter puncher.
Yeah. And
that's what it is. He was a lighter puncher. The styles are completely different.
And what's crazy is Sam got hurt by Paulie. Paulie doesn't hurt anybody ever. And I don't mean any disrespect by that, but
he doesn't.
Even he knows it. Paulie just not a hard puncher. He's a great boxer. Yeah. He's just not a hard puncher. And I was surprised when Sam got hurt by Paulie. And I think it was by a jab too. I couldn't believe it.
That's what I was saying. That seeing you against Eggington, thinking, I can see why they didn't take that fight then. Because if Paulie's hurting him, imagine what Carson's going to do inside.
Yeah,
what a great fight.
I mean, business-wise, it's a very fan-friendly fight. But business-wise, on their part, it was a smart decision to fight a bigger name and pretty much get them boosted up in the ratings. So congrats to him, I guess.
So, okay, let's talk about Carson Jones. I spoke to Abel, I think 2 days ago I spoke to Abel. Abel Sanchez seems to come under a lot of fire at the moment. The different names that are coming up for him, Fable Sanchez, Unable Sanchez. Why does Abel Sanchez get so much flack, do you think?
I'm sorry, say the first part again.
Abel Sanchez seems to be getting a lot of flack. Seems to get a lot of, people call him Fable Sanchez, Unable Sanchez, particularly around Gennady Golovkin. And some of the statements Abel said maybe he made earlier, like Gennady Golovkin will fight anybody from 154 right through to 170, or that's something like that. He made a 168. He made that statement, and that statement seems to stuck like glue to Sanchez. And nobody can take the Golovkin power from this weight to this weight. And obviously Jacobs went 12 rounds. So, again, Sanchez is coming under a lot of pressure at the moment. Why do you think this is?
Well, he's getting a lot of flack simply because of this last fight. That's one fight. And let's keep in mind, Daniel Jacobs was a lot bigger fighter, and he's a lot better fighter than what people give him credit for.
That's what I said.
The first time, this is the first time, I think what it is, people are so used to Gennady just going in there steamrolling people and knocking them out so quick that once he gets in there with somebody that can actually go the distance with him, all of a sudden they're saying, they're thinking he's not the fighter that he used to be or whatever. That's not the case. You're not going to knock out every single every single opponent you get in there with. And I think that's kind of where the pressure from the boxing world and the boxing fans come from.
But the Kell Brook fight, people are saying it's 2 fights back to back. GRENADA hasn't looked impressive.
I mean, I was pretty damn impressed. He broke Kell Brook's orbital bone in the first round. I mean,
somebody said it was a headbutt. Now that's the next thing.
It wasn't a headbutt. You saw it just as well as I did.
I saw it clean. I saw the clean shots going in.
I mean, there was no headbutt. Now, granted, this is not ping pong. You're gonna get punched. It's boxing.
Yes.
You're not gonna go one whole fight without getting hit. If you do, you must be God. But you're not gonna go one fight, and he got hit, of course. But it's boxing. They're saying that he was exposed. He wasn't exposed. It was just natural. He just got hit in a boxing match. Simple as that.
So you think that maybe Abel's coming under fire because he's made a few comments to defend his fighter, and so now people are just jumping on him because of that?
I think so. Like I said, these people are the same people that before this last fight probably agreed with what Abel said, but now since somebody finally stood in there for 12 rounds with Gennady, now they're against what Abel says. They probably agree with him, everything he said before this fight. Now, now they're switching opinions.
Boxing fans can be pretty fickle, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Totally fickle. I mean, now, let's go back to your fight. Your fight's coming up. Abel told me in the interview that you've got a fight coming up in April?
No. It's actually May 6th.
Oh, it's May now. Okay.
Yeah, I was originally going to fight Friday. Just a little tune-up. But I'm kind of relieved that I got pulled off of that card and put on the May 6th. Actually, that whole card got canceled now that I think about it. Originally, they had pulled me off to put me on a main event in Minnesota on May 6th, but now the whole card is canceled. So
yeah, Abel said it was he was trying to be, what's the word, diplomatic, and say it was a warm-up fight, a tune-up fight. He was being very diplomatic about it because I think he must have seen who the opposition was, or had an idea of who the opposition was. Yeah, it was kind of,
I mean, just to stay busy type of deal.
Okay.
Keep me busy and keep the cobweb.
Yep. Are you kind of glad you don't have that fight now, or is it now still a stay busy fight?
No, it's not a stay busy fight by any means. They're actually trying to make it for this May 6th bout for one of the WBC minor titles. It's against a guy named Mohamed Koyango.
Okay.
He's an African, but I think he lives in Minnesota.
Okay. How much do you know about him?
He fought one of my friends, Frederick Lawson.
Okay.
Another guy that actually used to train here.
Okay.
I mean, he's a tough competitor. I haven't watched too many of his fights, but there's not too much that I haven't seen in this sport, so I'm not really worried about that. As long as I continue to do what I'm doing, working hard in the gym, I can come out with a victory.
Where is Carson Jones going in his career? Is this about stay busy fights? Is this about getting a world title shot? Is this being a gatekeeper? What is the vision for Carson Jones for 2017?
It's kind of just, staying on path, and hopefully, of course, you got to get paid. But in the process, I would like to see a world title. I'm in a process where I'm setting up for the future now. I'm not worried about necessarily belts per se. It would be nice to get a world title shot, but I'm more worried about the future because I don't have all the time in the world left in boxing. 4 or 5 tops.
Yeah.
And then time to move on to something else. But I would like to secure my future in the process.
Okay. Let's go back a bit. Kell Brook, the name that you're always associated with because of that tremendous fight you had with him. The Spence situation. Kell Brook says that he knocked the stuffing out of Golovkin. I don't know if you've seen the video that's floating around with Dominic Ingle and Kell Brook and Gennady Golovkin says, "Are you serious? You serious? Have you seen that video yet?"
No, I haven't seen it, but
Um,
I'm thinking this. I'm thinking the exact same thing. I mean, I actually Kell Brook is not that bad of a guy, but sometimes you gotta think before you open your mouth. You know what I mean? Don't just say dumb stuff like that. You know, I think he beats beats Errol Spence.
wow, that's a big statement there.
Well, listen, I'm always gonna pull for Brook, considering our past.
Of course.
So I'm pulling for him. I hope he wins.
But wait, hold on. We've got to stop you right there. Because there's American thing. There's this American thing where Americans support Americans. It's always been about, and recently there's been a lot of Americans that have been jumping and supporting UK fighters. What is going on with that? Is there what is all that about? Tell me.
That has nothing to do with it. I fought Kell Brook twice, and I was, aside from Golovkin, you know, people can argue that I beat him the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
So every time he does great, it makes me look good. So I don't care about it. You can be American, Chinese, whatever. I don't care. If it's making me look better and it's gonna possibly benefit me and put my name out there, I'm all for it.
Well, you're a Jones, so I'm proud to be associated with the Jones name.
Jones. Keep up. You gotta keep up with the Joneses.
That's right. That's right. So Derek James made some comments to defending Spence and really talking about Golovkin. And what Abel said, Abel was defending and saying that Errol Spence is the truth, blah, 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 blah. Then Derek James kind of said, well, Golovkin hasn't looked good in his last 2 fights. Then he turned around and then now Abel's now turned around and said, look, you know what? Spence is going to get smashed by Brook. Is that fair? Or is that... Because he's saying one thing, he's the truth. Criticizes GG gets criticised, and now he's turned around and said, no, you know what? I think Brook's going to destroy him.
Abel said Brook is going to destroy him, or Derek James?
Brook is going to destroy Spence. Abel said that.
I mean, I agree. I don't think it's not going to be easy at all for either fighter, whichever man may win. But I do think Brook has the more experience in those type of fights. And Brook is a tough SOB. He didn't get dropped by me, and he didn't get dropped no matter how. I mean, Overbone broke, but he never went down against GRENADA. So he's one tough competitor, and I don't think unless he has an issue with his eye still, I don't think Spence has the power to put him on his ass. Excuse my language.
That's all right. That's all right. What makes you think he hasn't got the power to stop? Spence hasn't got the power. He's done what Thurman can do, which is put Bundu away.
Well, yeah, that's Bundu, and you can make your argument that Bundu doesn't have much left either.
That's an argument for that.
I just think if GRENADA couldn't put him down, it's not that he couldn't. Jay just didn't allow him to. But I just don't. I think Spence is a smaller guy, and I honestly think that experience is what's gonna help Brook win this fight, because he knows how to dig deep, and he knows what it is to have to grind the fight out. Spence doesn't necessarily know what that means yet.
That's if the fight goes that long. If for some reason Spence can land them body shots, so he's coming from 160 down to 147. Now it's the first time we're going to see Kell Brook fight at 147 since he fought Golovkin. Is that going to have any difference in terms of any? Are we going to have? I mean, remember when Roy Jones fought up all those weight divisions, and then the next fight, what happened to him? Will Brook lose something in that, or will that not be a problem?
It's possible. It really just depends on how he makes the weight. If he started making the weight a couple months ago before the fight was announced, then he shouldn't have an issue. But if he tries to take it all off, let's say the last month or the last couple weeks, and just dry out, then we could have a problem. I think all the telltale signs would be coming up closer to the fight, maybe even on the weigh-in day. If he looks all sucked in like a cancer patient, it could be a short night for Brook. But if he looks healthy and ready to go, I think he wins it.
Spence says that he's a taller man and he believes he's the bigger man. What do you think?
I agree. He's taller, bigger. I disagree with that. Obviously, Brook is he's had some issues making 47, and we've never heard that about Spence. No, not saying it isn't true. Not saying he doesn't have any issues, because usually, I mean, it's a grind to get down to those last 2 pounds. But as far as being the bigger man, I think Kell Brook has the weight advantage.
Okay, you're a man that's been around the gyms. You're a veteran, as they say. So sparring rumours probably won't impress you. And they say what's in the gym should stay in the gym. Freddie Roach revealed how Spence knocked out Broner in sparring and he roughed up Mayweather. Does that mean anything for this fight?
I mean, not really. It's sparring. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I'll put it like this. I don't necessarily have the best sparring days in any time I spar, to be honest, especially sparring with these top guys. But in a fight, it's completely different. You would never be able to tell that I have several bad sparring days each training camp. But the fight is when it counts. Who cares about sparring? I mean, it's nice to feel good and look good in sparring, but only time it matters is when that check is being written. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
only time it matters
is
when the headgear's off and the gloves are 8s or 10s. That's the only time it matters.
Okay. I said something the other day, and some people were like, yeah, that's a great idea. Other people thought, nah. Getting rid of the light middleweight division. So we have welterweight and middleweight. You're a guy that's fought in between the welterweight and light middleweight division. What do you think about that? If they were to scrap the light middleweight division and have welterweight and middleweight?
No, I disagree, because when I can't make 47 anymore, I don't want to go straight. I don't want to go back straight to 160. I want to go to 154.
You see? But okay. If that's the case, then would that not be because, and it's no disrespect to you, but fighters, Canelo, example, who make their own weight up and say, well, you know what? Who fights at their own weight anyway? A guy who fights at light middleweight never comes in fight night at light middleweight. He's a middleweight, super middleweight, or even light heavy. So, what would be the point? Do you come in at when you fight? Do you come in at 147?
No. If I fight at 47, I'm usually coming to the ring 160.
So there you go. I mean, what is there a point for weight categories? Just let a man go in and fight. I mean, if that's that's
no matter what. Yeah, but no matter what, you're always going to come in. You're always going to come in bigger. You fight at 47, you come in at 160. You fight at 160, you come in at 175. So either way, there's going to be a disadvantage to somebody, if you know what I mean. And that's dangerous. So I mean, I think the weight classes being that close is necessary.
So in that case, what about same day weigh-ins then?
Ooh, I hate those.
Oh. See, so look, same day weigh-ins would really make the athlete that much more professional, would it not?
Are you referring to maybe like what the IBF does, and not being able to gain 10 pounds?
I was hoping you'd bring the IBF thing up, but now you brought it up. Yeah.
I've done that several times. That's not that big of a deal, because I will weigh in 47 the day before after official weigh-in.
Yeah.
And the next morning you agree, let's say 7 o'clock, you come in and weigh, you can't gain more than 10 pounds. So I will come in and weigh 156. After that, you can do what you want. I think that type of thing is fair. Yeah, but the same day weigh-ins for a person that fights at 47 to come in and have to weigh 47 the same day, no, there's no way possible. Yeah. That's a.
But think this out: how many great fights would we lose out on guys on the scales? Let's say you come in, we do the same day weigh-in. You come in at 147. Oh no, you come in the next day weigh-in. Let's say how you're talking with the IBF. You are set for 147. You go overnight. You get up and you're 160 when you get up, and you have to spend your day losing 4 pounds. That fight is lost on the scales.
In a sense, I mean, but let's just say, for instance, if they did that with every fight, you say you weigh in, okay, let's say you had to do same day weigh-ins.
Yep.
To where you had to weigh 147 on that same exact day.
Yep.
How many good fights, instead of how many fights are being lost on the scales, let's say how many good fights we're missing out on. Guys are going to be completely drained with no energy.
Okay. Well, what about these fights? Those rules are for specific world title fights only.
Yeah.
So people like Canelo can't get away with what he's getting away with.
Yeah, I think what Canelo and De La Hoya are doing, that's a bit extreme. That just doesn't make any sense to me, and I can't believe that. And honestly, I think contractually, that's just their rules. But that's not the rules of like the sanctioning bodies. You still have to, if you want to fight for the title, you still got to be under 160 or whatever the rules say in their book. You still have to be on 160. But contractually, with Canelo, I think that's just more of a money thing.
Okay. Training up in the mountains, do you think there's a benefit to it? I mean, that sounds like a silly question, but I'm gonna come back to it. Do you think it's beneficial for you?
For me, yes, and just in every aspect of it, being in a solitude, being away from home, where I'm comfortable. I live a completely different life here in Big Bear and training camp than I do when I'm at home. I live kind of like I guess you could say a Buddhist monk.
A Spartan. A Spartan, as Tyson Fury said.
Yeah, but I'm very super disciplined. I do the same thing every day. I don't stray away from anything. I work hard, strict diet, just completely focused. And I think certain fighters need that, as opposed to when I'm at home. All my friends are there, my family. If one of my boys says, let's go out, I don't know how to say no. So, being here for me is good.
So when you fought Kell Brook the first time, where were you? Were you up in camp or were you down with the boys?
No, I was here.
Okay. And the second fight? The second
fight, I was, there were some issues between my managers and Abel. And I won't get into that, but I switched trainers for that training camp, and I was training in Houston.
Right, okay.
And it was a great training camp. I wasn't, I was still focused and whatnot, but it was just a different time. It was a different time in life, and in boxing, timing is everything.
Of course, it is. So, okay, you've got this fight coming up. It's and you said you know who the opponent is, and you said that it's for one of the minor titles, correct?
They're trying to make it for one of the minor WBC titles. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you're successful and you go through and you win that fight. What's the plan for you next?
We'll have to go back to the drawing board and see what comes up.
Good.
Of course, we can't look past this guy.
Okay.
We got to get past him first.
Stop right there. You said the drawing board. What does that mean? Because I hear a lot of people say, what does drawing board mean to Carson Jones?
We have to see what's on. We'll have to sit down and see what's on the table. We can't just
stop again. See what's on the table again. I hear it all the time, and I know you're a straight man. See what's on the table. Does that basically mean when I win this fight, let's see what money's next to be made? Does it mean let's see who's a viable opponent? When the next training camp is? What does that mean to Carson Jones?
Okay, after this fight,
yeah,
I win.
Yeah.
We'll see where that title puts me in the ratings. Then we'll see who's available for me to fight.
Right.
But we also have to look at it from a risk and reward standpoint. If the risk isn't worth the reward, we say no. If the risk is worth the reward, then we say yeah. We just wait for the good opportunity. If not, we just make something happen.
See, now that is interesting because it puts a different spin in it. Because you hear it a lot on the we go back to the drawing board. Go.
You kind of have to look at different things. You can't just jump at the first thing that comes in your face, because you do that and then something else better might come up. Not too long after you say yes to this opportunity. Yeah. So you kind of got to weigh your options. Okay,
so then how does it work? Let's say the day in the life of Carson Jones. So I'm Carson Jones, and I'm sitting around at home and with my family and my kids, and I'm watching a movie, and how does the process happen between promoter, Carson Jones call, training camp, fight? How does that all? How does it all go down that pipe? How does that pipeline, that chain reaction work?
Well, Carson's always. I text my manager / advisor every single day.
Okay.
And I'm just asking him what's up, what's next, and he's always working. They're always working, trying to give me the best deals. Okay. But I'm gonna go a different way for a second. In my situation, the reason I don't necessarily get a lot of top fights right now is because the risk of fighting me is not worth for the top guys. It's not worth the reward. I'm too tough of an opponent, and I don't have the best of records. Nobody wants to lose to a guy that's 40-11. You see what I'm saying? So in that aspect, that's kind of how I don't get the bigger fights. So that's the reason we have to fight for these little minor titles and keep moving up in the ratings. That way we can force somebody to fight us. Say for instance, Sam Agenton, which is really what I want. But I think maybe after he fights for his European title, I think that's what he's going to do over there in the UK.
Yeah.
But maybe that can happen later on in the year. But we have to, like I said, we have to force somebody to fight by moving up in the ratings.
Let me throw two names at you: Frankie Gavin and Amir Khan. Would Carson Jones get any of those fights, do you think?
Frankie Gavin's going back to 140, I think, but I would love that fight. Amir Khan, I would love that fight too, but that would be tough. I'm not gonna lie. He would probably box my ears off for a little bit until I caught him, and then when I catch him, his chin is kind of suspect. So we'll see where he goes.
It's an exciting fight. Khan on the comeback trail. For Khan, he can say, well, okay, he could say, there's a fight here that I could win. But for you can look at yourself and say, hey, it's a fight that you could win as well. Speed and movement with Khan versus your punch power and inside work to the body, into the head. I mean, I think that's a great matchup.
Yeah, I think it's a good fight, especially in the UK.
Oh yeah.
Of course, he's from the UK, and I have a pretty good name over there. But I think Khan's looking for a lot bigger fights than me. So we'll have to see.
Okay, McGregor, Mayweather. There's talk about it all over the place. Would you be considering a fight with McGregor? I mean, he's not. There's all sorts of names to him.
I would fight him any day of the week and twice on Sunday. McGregor, he's just not. He's not a boxer. He's an MMA fighter. McGregor couldn't even beat some of the lower level amateurs in the sport. I don't know why he thinks he could be the best boxer on earth.
He said he has dynamite in both fists, and he's 27 years old. He's young. He's hungry, and he's going to shock the world.
Negative.
Negative.
I've seen him. Matter of fact, I've seen sparring videos, and let's just say I'm not impressed. Like I said, I know some 16-year-olds that will mop him all over the ring. There's no way he's probably not even going to be able to land a hand on Floyd if that fight was to happen. But you know what? For the casual fans and for the UFC fans, that's a good fight, and they're going to make a lot of money on that fight if it does happen. Okay. I won't be paying for it, but there's a lot of people that will.
Okay, we're going to work in the worlds of if he lands the left hand on Floyd, if he lands and Floyd has a Mosley moment, or Floyd's old and all the rest of it. What happens if?
Floyd could be in a wheelchair, and he would still beat McGregor. There's no way McGregor is gonna win or has a chance of winning in boxing. Now, if this was like a UFC fight or an MMA fight, of course I'll pick McGregor all day, but not in boxing.
Okay, hold on.
It's kind of disrespectful. It's kind of disrespectful for people to actually believe that he has a chance to beat Floyd. I don't care what you say. You can always land in one. He's not going to land anything on Floyd.
It must be a Jones thing, because I said the same thing about Tony Bellew and David Haye. I said David Haye is going to destroy Bellew. He wouldn't get past 2 rounds. Bellew ends up going and beating David Haye.
Yeah, that's 2 different things. They're both boxers. This is McGregor, a UFC fighter, and Floyd, the best pound for pound in the world, or the former best pound for pound in the world.
Listen, I believe Floyd's going to give him an arse whooping, personally. But hey, I think it's a total mismatch. But
me too. But you know what? Hey, I wouldn't complain if I was on the undercard getting some of that paper too. So,
so how does it work for you in terms of you've got a manager, and how does it work for you to get yourself like if you were to sign for someone like Al Heyman, how would that work? How could you sell yourself to someone like Al Heyman?
I'm not really sure. Usually in those type of situations, if I was to fight against, let's not say Al Heyman, let's say Top Rank, which is the promotion company, obviously. Okay. If I was to fight one of their guys, they would want what's called options, which means if I was to beat, let's say if I was to, at one point I was going to fight Antonio Margarito.
Right.
They wanted options on this fight. So if I was to beat Margarito, they wanted options on my next 3 fights, which means I have to fight who they want, but technically I'll be signed under them for the next 3 fights. So that's kind of how
it works.
That's kind of how that worked.
I'm going to end the interview with this. I want to talk about social media, because you're a man on social media and Facebook. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about social media, Facebook, Twitter, and boxing fans and casuals, and whether you've had any engagements with them, and how you found a boxing casual.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm in a few groups.
Yeah. Okay. Example. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in a few groups, and it's kind of like, dude, if you don't know what you're talking about, just shut up, please. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm never disrespectful or rude to anybody.
I know.
Unless show me that type of attitude, but it's just disgusting. Like, stop. Just stop where you are and say no more, please. Especially there's a lot of casual fans that are talking about Floyd or McGregor can beat Floyd. I'm just like, dude, bro, just stop.
And what about the mentality of some of these guys that are picking fighters not based on boxing ability, not based on previous fights or records, but based on skin color, or based on religion, or based on where they come from in the world? That seems to have been around in boxing.
I think that's stupidity. I mean, you can go.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're a betting man, you're a lot smarter. You're a lot smarter than that. But I think everybody, to a certain extent, pulls for who you pull for. I mean, obviously, you pull for who you want to win. People can be pulling from McGregor, but you have to be smart enough to know that he's not going to be able to pull it off. Especially if you're a betting man. But race always plays a major key in all sports.
So do you believe it's still true that if you put like 2 Mexican fighters in the ring, that's going to make a lot of money? If you put a black guy and a white guy in the ring, that's going to make money? Or do you think just based on the fact it's just names and records? What do you think it's really to in terms of revenue and making money?
I think 2 Mexicans is going to make a lot of money simply because you know what kind of, the stereotypical Mexican style fight. You're going to get a straight blood and guts war. Now, I will say this. If you can find a really good American Caucasian fighter that can actually fight, he's going to make a lot of money because there's not many of those here in America that can actually fight. And the reason being, I think, is because the best boxers usually come from the poorest culture. The Mexicans, kids that don't have nothing to do.
The ghetto.
Yeah, exactly. The ghetto.
You didn't want to say it. I've said it. The ghetto.
Yeah, the hood.
The hood. Yes, okay.
That's why there's a lot of good black fighters. There's a lot of good Hispanic fighters.
Yeah.
But usually the white people they go into other things. These days it's UFC or MMA.
Yes.
MMA. So I think if you do get a good white American boxer, he's gonna make a ton of money if he can really fight.
Carson, is there anything you want to say before we end the interview?
Just thank you for whoever supports me.
Don't be like, I mean, whoever supports you. You know you got support. Don't go there. You know you got support.
Thanks for all the support out there, and to all the UK fans. I will say this: me and my last opponent, you know who that is, Ben Hall,
yes,
have become kind of cool, good friends.
Glad to hear
and
it.
He's in Florida for a week, and he's coming out here to Big Bear.
Wow, I'm really glad to hear it. That's good news.
So hopefully one day he can be world champion. So if he does, he can break me off some of that championship money.
Carson, I will say this much: it's great to see you smiling, great to see you happy. You seem in a really good place, and you seem like a man that knows where he wants to be, and is doing his best to get there. And I think all credit to you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying.
Carson Jones, thank you so much for talking to Baylor Worldwide Television.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.